There is a place in Utah where people have reported seeing lights that shouldn't be there, where ranchers have reported cattle disappearing and animals being found dead under disturbing circumstances. A place where witnesses have described objects moving through the night sky. And researchers later arrived with cameras, sensors, radiation detectors, and enough equipment to monitor the land around the clock. But what makes this story different? Scientists and researchers didn't just investigate the ranch. They kept coming back, because whatever was happening there wasn't easily explained. In northeastern Utah, surrounded by the remote landscape of the Uinta Basin, sits a 480-acre property. Today, it's known around the world as Skinwalker Ranch, but the name came later. The mystery became famous in the 1990s when ranchers Terry and Gwen Sherman purchased the property. And according to the family, strange things began happening. They reported seeing unusual lights in the sky, objects appearing over the property, animals behaving strangely, and cattle disappearing. Some of the incidents were reported to investigators and journalists. Others became part of the family's own account of what happened on the ranch. And eventually, the stories attracted attention far beyond Utah. Imagine living on a remote ranch. No city lights, no crowds, just fields, mountains, and darkness. Then one night, you look outside, and there's a light in the sky. Not a plane you recognize, not a helicopter, just a light. You watch it. It moves. You keep watching, and then it disappears. You tell yourself there must be an explanation. Until it happens again, and again. And eventually, you start wondering whether you're actually alone. The Shermans reported experiences like these. But there is an important distinction. These were reported observations. They were not proof of extraterrestrial spacecraft. They were not proof of portals. And they were not proof of anything supernatural. They were reports of things the witnesses said they couldn't explain. And that distinction would become extremely important, because eventually, scientists showed up. In 1996, the ranch attracted the attention of billionaire businessman and investigator Robert Bigelow. Bigelow purchased the property and established an investigation through the National Institute for Discovery Science. Now, this wasn't just a family telling stories. Researchers were watching. Cameras were installed. Equipment was deployed. The property was monitored. The goal? To determine whether there was actually something unusual happening there. And if there was, to find out what it was. That changed everything. Because now the question wasn't simply, do you believe the ranchers? It became, can we measure it? And this is where the Skinwalker Ranch story becomes complicated. Because despite years of investigation, there is still no publicly accepted scientific evidence proving that the ranch is home to extraterrestrial beings. No confirmed portal, no scientifically established monster, no verified supernatural entity, no definitive explanation either. Instead, there are reports, measurements, unusual observations, witness testimony, and events that investigators have considered difficult to explain. That uncertainty is exactly what keeps the story alive. Because if someone could prove what was happening, the mystery would be over. But if the evidence isn't enough to prove anything, the question remains, what happened? Then the story took another turn. Investigations connected to Bigelow's broader research interests eventually intersected with government-funded studies into unidentified aerial phenomena. A Pentagon-linked program known as AAWSAP received millions of dollars to investigate advanced aerospace threats and unusual phenomena. And Skinwalker Ranch became associated with this wider story. To some people, this was confirmation that the government knew something strange was happening. But that's where we have to be careful. Government interest does not prove aliens. It doesn't prove that Skinwalker Ranch contains a portal. It doesn't prove a supernatural entity lives there. It proves something much simpler. People with access to serious resources were interested enough to investigate unusual claims. And even after all of that, there was still no definitive answer. And then there's the name, Skinwalker. It comes from Navajo cultural traditions concerning a type of witch or harmful supernatural practitioner. But there is an important historical problem with the popular version of the story. The ranch is located in Utah, not within the Navajo Nation. And many of the modern claims about a supposed ancient Navajo curse placed on the property are part of the later Skinwalker Ranch legend, not established historical fact. In other words, the name itself became part of the mystery, and eventually part of the marketing surrounding it. But beneath all the mythology, there is still a real property, real witnesses, real investigations, real equipment, and decades of unanswered questions. Think about that number, 480 acres. That's all it takes, a relatively small patch of land, to generate decades of stories, lights, animals, strange observations, scientific investigations, government interest, and endless theories. But here's the question I keep coming back to. If absolutely nothing unusual is happening there, why have so many people continued to investigate it? And if something is happening, why hasn't anyone been able to prove exactly what it is? Maybe the answer is completely ordinary. Maybe environmental conditions explain some of the sightings. Maybe animals died from natural causes. Maybe human perception turned ambiguous events into something extraordinary. Maybe different incidents were unrelated, but became connected by a growing legend. Or maybe there really are phenomena occurring there that scientists don't yet understand. We don't know. And that's the uncomfortable part. Because Skinwalker Ranch isn't terrifying because we know there's something there. It's terrifying because we don't know. For decades, people have looked toward those fields and reported seeing things they couldn't explain. Researchers came with instruments. Cameras watched the darkness, data was collected, theories were formed, and still, the mystery survived. So the next time someone tells you that Skinwalker Ranch is proof of aliens, remember, it isn't. And when someone tells you that everything that happened there was completely ordinary, remember, that hasn't been proven either. Somewhere between those two extremes is the real mystery. 480 acres of Utah wilderness, and a question that has refused to die. What is happening at Skinwalker Ranch? And perhaps the strangest part is that they're still looking. But the ranch's most disturbing stories didn't begin with UFOs. They began with the animals. And some of the reports surrounding those animals would become the first clues in a mystery that eventually attracted scientists, investigators, and government attention. So what actually happened to the cattle? That's where the Skinwalker Ranch story gets darker. Follow for more unsolved hidden mysteries stories